This class will deal with situational leadership. The situational leadership idea was proposed by heresy Blanchard during the 1960s. The theory suggests that there is no one best type of leadership style. Effective leaders and managers must be able to adapt to changing situations and be able to accommodate to the needs of their employees and teams. So the theory is suggesting flexibility. It's not looking towards a single approach to leadership and the application of some ideas about a single approach in all situations, because situations within business vary so widely. So the situational leader must be flexible and adapt to see what's required in those particular circumstances. The theory implies that effective leaders are the ones which can change their leadership styles to meet the needs of the task. As I said, there is flexibility in terms of leadership, and the leader can have different approaches depending on the situation that he or she confronts. The extent a leader must be able to adapt their style depends on the level of support, guidance and direction is required from a task. Now, if a task requires a lot of support and a lot of guidance and direction, then one type of leadership may apply. Whereas if it's much more flexible, if the problem is much more flexible and the team working with the problem have some experience and past experience of dealing with similar situations, then a different approach to leadership would be required. In other words, the leader must look at the situation and adopt an approach appropriate to what he or she is dealing with. The level of motivation required to complete the task is also a determinant of the style of leadership. If the team or the employees who are working on the task are highly motivated, then perhaps motivational leadership is not the style or the way to go, because they are already motivated. So the style of leadership must look at the motivation within the workforce or within the relevant team if an issue is under consideration. Now, situational leaders are able to assess the situation they are trying to influence. They must be able to make a proper assessment to see what they're dealing with. It's not as if they can assume that the situation is of a certain type without conducting some research and some investigation into the issues. So, having done that, they must then honestly try to develop a leadership style that reflects best practice in that situation. In other words, it recognizes the motivation of the staff involved, it recognizes the complexity of the issue, it recognizes the urgency of the issue. So there are many factors that will influence the particular choice of leadership style. They must adapt their behavior and style based on the situation. So they must focus in on what the issue is, and the leadership style is derived from that. They must not enter the arena, enter the situation with a leadership style in mind and then impose it, because it may be the wrong one. It may be counterproductive. They must be able to communicate at a level with others to ensure they understand the task and the situation. So communication skills are important, and the leader must be able to not just adopt an appropriate leadership style, but must be able to communicate effectively with those involved. And movement towards goal and completion of task. So the leader must be able to assess the situation. They must be able to adopt their behavior to the style of the situation, as I said. They must be able to communicate effectively with the team, and then they must be able to move towards a solution or towards a goal. Whatever the target is, they must be able to move towards that and then ultimately complete the task. Heresy and Blanchard suggest that there are 4 main types of leadership styles and maturity level, each designated with a letter combination. So there are 4 main styles of leadership styles and maturity level. There's leadership style and maturity level. Now we need to look at these and see what's meant by them, because these are core to our understanding of situational leadership. Starting with leadership style, well, the first one is telling, which is designated as S1. Now the leader's telling employees or people what to do. It's the leader telling people what actions to take. The second one is called selling. More like a negotiator. Aim to sell ideas and influence people to buy into the process. So they're negotiating. They're explaining the situation to the employees and getting the employees to understand it and to become involved and to be motivated. So they're selling the whole idea of solving a task or doing a particular task or working in a particular way. They're selling the idea. Thirdly, we have participating. Less leadership direction and more control entrusted onto the employee's team to develop ideas and play an active role. So participating is simply getting the employees to work with each other and to work with the management to bring about a better solution. They're participating. They're participating in the exercise. They're not just doing it because they're being told to do it. They're participating. They're involved with looking for a solution, looking for a way of working, being motivated. And fourthly, delegating. This is a hands-off approach. Groups, employees make most of the decisions and take responsibility for outcomes. So delegating means the manager, the leader, asks the employees or a group to take charge of the situation, to deal with it. The power has been delegated, it's been given to them to work in a particular way, in a particular style, to bring about a good solution. So it's a hands-off approach. So we have 4 different approaches: telling, selling, participating, and delegating. Next, we have maturity level. Now, this is known as M1. Group have basic skill and knowledge to complete the task. So that's the maturity level. The group understands the essentials to complete the task. It's quite a straightforward knowledge. It's not a sophisticated knowledge. It's not an in-depth knowledge or a comprehensive knowledge. They have enough knowledge to complete that particular task. M2, well, group communication, willingness and enthusiasm, but lack the ability and skill to complete the task. So they have group communications and they're willing and they're enthusiastic, but they haven't got the ability or the skill to complete the task. M3, the group have skills and abilities to complete the given task, but they're unwilling to take the responsibility. And sometimes groups are like that, people are like that. They have the ability to do it, but they don't want to have the responsibility. Sometimes they may argue that they're not being paid to take that responsibility. They're being paid to do a particular task, but not take the responsibility. So they may have the skills, the competencies, the ability to complete a given task, but they just simply don't want the responsibility of doing so. M4, well, highly skilled, highly motivated, enthusiastic group who was able to complete the task. So M4 are the highly skilled, highly motivated, enthusiastic group who are able to complete the task. They're able to finish the task. So we have different stances by the workforce, and these various stances can be summarized under these 4 headings. One of these should apply in most situations. The heresy Blanchard model suggests that the following leadership styles are the most appropriate for those maturity levels. First of all, low maturity and telling, medium maturity and selling, medium maturity and participating, and high maturity and delegating. So what the heresy Blanchard model suggests is that the leadership styles are most appropriate for these maturity levels. So we have leadership styles now connected to maturity levels, and we've seen what we mean by maturity levels in the previous slide. We've identified 4, and now we also have 4 styles of leadership. But now we can connect the 2. So, for example, with low maturity, we have telling. Medium maturity, selling. But also M3, medium maturity, participating. High maturity, delegating. So the model is suggesting how the leadership style should be worked out in the context of the maturity level of the workforce. A leader is able to change and adopt different leadership styles depending on the progress of its group or employees. So the leader must be able to adopt, should be able to adopt, different styles of leadership depending on the progress of the group. So as the workforce change, as they become more participative or become more sophisticated in their approach to work, and then the style of leadership should change as well. For example, a leader can start at the telling level and progress employees to the selling level. So the leader, in a sense, is changing the workforce as well, encouraging them to move along, to become more participative, or in the end to accept delegation and to work with the management to try and bring about a speedy and good result. Leaders can leap between leadership styles and maturity levels. There's nothing to say that they must move in a sequence. They may look towards delegating, perhaps at one stage, but they may also look towards telling at a different stage. They may move towards delegating, as I said, and go back to an earlier stage for a different group, or for the same group under a different in a different situation. So there's nothing to say that it must be sequential or it must be moving one to the next. it could jump forwards and backwards. The model is easy to understand and apply, which makes it a very effective tool for organizations. So this particular model is quite useful, and it's well worth studying it again and try to see how the maturity and the leadership styles are linked, and understand clearly the levels of maturity as set out in the earlier slide, and also the leadership styles as set out in an earlier slide, because both of them can be linked, and different maturity levels suggest how the leader should respond to that level of maturity. If the group is not participating, if the group has low skill levels, they seem not that committed, then perhaps the appropriate leadership style is telling them what to do. So it is a useful exercise, this particular class. It's a useful exercise to go back, make notes of it on it, and stop the video, play the video forwards and backwards until you've got a complete grasp of what this model is suggesting. But that's all we're going to deal with here, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.